So in our code, where we use the uniform distribution, we can make a slight change to determine the number of proposals that were actually accepted. So we know the total number that will be proposed is simply the number of iterations. Yes. So n.prop, initializing count, initializing vector to count proposals. So I'm going to create a vector. I'm just initializing that vector to count proposals. So the first step is to propose a theta, as always. Now, if I accept the proposal, which happens here, and it happens there, those are the two cases. When that happens, I have to increase my proposal count by 1. Good. So n.prop, the initial value, will be increased by 1. And it should happen here also. Good. Making changes to the uniform code. We'll go back and do the same with the normal distribution code also. Everything looks fine, so go ahead and run the entire code. It should run. So run the entire code. Now, let's just type in prop. Get 6,449. So I'll print a statement. Can't will simply concatenate a string to the console. So can't paste 0 is to concatenate strings. Say proportion of this. I'll call it acceptance proportion. And round to 2 decimals, n.prop divided by n, comma 2. Put in different lines so that you know that that parentheses is for paste 0 and that is for count. Now, the difference between paste 0 and paste is paste will introduce spaces. Paste 0 will not. So put percent. So it is simply going to print that in the console. So the acceptance proportion will got to multiply by 100. 64.49%. So 64.49% of proposals were accepted. Could this be changed? Well, I change the number of iterations to 50,000, 64.17. Perhaps change the current state instead of starting at 2. Suppose I started at 3, still 64.17 did make a difference. 10,000. Same, start at 1. Same. So the convergence happens at the same number of iterations. If I change the distribution entirely, (37.13). It's not doing really great this time, yes, but it still did converge, but the proportion wasn't as high. So what you can do, suppose I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In other words, an increasing sequence. I get 73.64%. Yes, because I'm going in successive states. So in a similar manner, if I start with 1, 12, 23, 44, 58, making different relative jumps. Yes, or am I? So 11, perhaps by 20 over here, 32, by 30, 62, by 40, 102. Significant jumps in increasing order. Converges, but also not so great. Okay, so a lot has to do with the target distribution and the distribution that you, what was the original one? 2, 4, 8, 1, 3. Yes. So 2, 4, 8, 1, 3. So this is one of many reasons why we get rid of the initial proposals. I talked about learning period. So the initial time period when the chain is learning, we have to get rid of those proposals typically so that the algorithm works. Nice. Now, we're going to include these 3 lines that we had here in the new code with the normal distribution. So I'm going to copy those 2 lines, initializing vector to count proposals, and that, put it on top of the for loop. Go down on top of for loop. So right above the for loop, right there. Yes, and in here, inside the first if statement, I'm going to put nprop as nprop plus 1 assigned to nprop. Do the same in the next if, but in the next if statement, yes, and copy the very last few lines the print statement that we did is in cat. I'm going to put that over here at the very end. So target distribution, I pasted the initialized vector, updating the number of proposals when we make a move, so right there and there. I copied the acceptance proportion line from the previous code, put it over here, and it was 75.68. Now, a lot of acceptance is happening. Still, it is not accurate. Why?
That's 68.39.
I got 75.81.
75.
Cool.
I got 75.68 degree increment from me. How many iterations?
Oh,
My target distribution is different. It's 2, 4, 8, 3.
That's what I got.
I had 318.
I had 2.
2, 4, 3, 1, 8.
We had what you had.
Oh,
Mine's just been different.
318.
Get 75.68. My initial state is 2.
That's 1,000.
What is that did at
What?
the end? Is your N 50,000 or 10,000 right now?
Still
He had 10.
Oh, I
There
know.
were
aborted my
168.
session, so it's on a new session.
Oh,
That's actually.
What did you get?
I was, yeah, I'm with him now. I was with her.
I got what you got now.
And I got what he's got. I like this.
Did you switch to
I just
318
switched.
or 813?
I'm at 813.
Okay, so that's why you have
I'm at
what you have.
318.
What?
Saying that you guys are changing the target distribution.
What? Okay.
Where were you at now? The original or the new?
Okay.
So 24,318.
24,318. That's what
What
I
did
got.
we get?
75.68.
That's what I had.
I figured out though, you had 10,000 as
Yeah.
your N instead of.
It has to be the same.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
I got a. That's actually.
Well, it crashed for some reason. It's crashed too.
Two.
Oh, yours crashed too.
I'm gonna save.
So expect this to happen quite frequently. Because it will happen.